Hello and a very warm welcome to yet another edition of The Real Talk. It is always such a pleasure to have your company. My name is Jackie Lumbasi and I have an amazing guest for us today. Now, over the last few weeks, we have been talking to different people, getting to hear their experiences and life lessons, inspiration, and we have touched a lot on the genocide against the Tutsi as we mark Kwibuka 30. And then a thought came to mind, you know, all the people we've talked to have dealt with life differently. They've dealt with this tragedy and its impact differently. How about to bring somebody who's going to speak to every one of us, and not just about what we went through in 1994, but what we go through today, what we could go through tomorrow. How do we deal with the blows that we get in life? Today, we have a coach, and my goodness, you're not ready for what's coming your way. Welcome to The Real Talk. We're coming to you from Mythos Boutique Hotel. Our guest is a coach. Well, I would love to call her a coach, but no, let me accord her the right title. Mireille Karera is the executive chairwoman and lead coach at Karera Coaching and Business Academy. You'll get to know more about Mireille. Mireille, thank you for honoring our invitation.
Thank you, Jackie, for having me.
You're an amazing soul. Pleasure to see you.
You know, I admire your work.
Thank you.
I've known you for I don't know how many years,
For
since
many
the radio years.
You know.
And I admire your work. I love
you.
what you do, and you are truly a gifted communicator.
Amen. Thank you so much. I thank God for that. And I am a great admirer of your work as well. Thank you. Thank you for all the support that you give, not just to me, but to the many people that you interact with. Thank you for being the light that shines a lot on all of us. Thank you, Mireille.
You're welcome.
Would love to know more about you. And let's start where your life started. Let's go back to that place where you were born and tell us about the family that you were raised in.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
You really want to go there from
I
the
would
beginning?
love to. Yes, from the beginning. You know,
right.
there's always a genesis, huh?
That is true.
And that's where we want to go.
I love that word, the genesis.
Yeah.
So my beginnings were very humble. I was born in 1976. Actually, I'm one of the few women that, you know, I don't shy away from telling my age, but do you know why? Because I look 12 years younger. Oh, yeah. That's what people tell me. So I don't mind telling my age, when I was born, and my genesis, as you said, that was in 1976, born abroad in the diaspora, and specifically I was born in Burundi. Yes. So, so
when did your parents go to Burundi?
My parents went to Burundi. That's an interesting one, and I think it's very much related to the topic of Kwibuka. Because I'm born, obviously, from Rwandan parents, both my father and mother. And my late father went to Burundi for school.
Okay.
And in 1955, 6, 7, 8, 9, and he never returned. He never made it back to Rwanda. Because of that, what happened in 59, which culminated to obviously 1994, he saw himself not being able to return to his country, and as a teenager, maybe I will talk about that a little bit later, and then he met my mother, who was also there, born in Rwanda. They were both born in Rwanda, one in 46 and another in 56, 10 years apart. But my mother, her father, worked for the colonials. Even my father's father worked for the Belgians and the king. I will share that later. But they would travel Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, etc. And my mother's father was on a mission in Burundi to help start what is known as Régie des Eaux. It's like today's WASAC. So it was established in Rwanda and then Burundi. So he was on the mission in the 1958. She was 2 and never returned until 1993. But her father had passed away, obviously. So my father and mother met in Burundi. I think they got married in 1972 because they were living in an area, I'm sure some of your audience will know, in, where Rwandans will live. It's called Ngagara. That's the area, or Okaf, which was predominantly settlers from the Rwandan diaspora in Burundi. So they found themselves being young, unable to return to their motherland in 72, and then they got married. And 4 kids later,
fully settled there,
yeah, 4 kids later, I'm number 4, born in 76, and that's how I found myself in Burundi, schooled there, primary, and the rest I'm sure we'll cover.
How were your school days, now that we've gotten there?
Yeah.
Going to school, and you know, I can imagine the celebration at home when they're sending their last born to primary school. If you could talk to us about your school time and share any memories from secondary school, going to college.
Yes, and they were all in different countries. So this is the thing about our history. Well, sometimes life happens to you by choice or by force. Choice or force.
I imagine yours was by force.
But then it became a choice. That's a key thing, right? So that's where the coaching part comes in. But back to my, early childhood. So yes, born in May 76. Then I was given an opportunity to start school 1 year earlier.
Been a sharp child.
Not by choice, obviously, at 3 or 4, but maybe one thing I can share there with you with my very early humble days was because we were refugees, we were in a specific area. So by that time, I think it was 1978, 79, we went to school that was specific for Rwandan refugees. It's called École Libre. Like École Libre, so most of the people, I'm sure, behind the camera either have gone there. I can safely guess that those who may have lived in that country in the 70s, 80s, probably 60, 70, 80% went to the same school.
It was within the camp or the settlement?
Well, it was in the city, like Kigali is a city or town, but then in the area specifically, the school was built by UNHCR.
Okay.
Yes, so for Rwandan refugees. So probably, 90% or 99% were Rwandan pupils there. And the one thing I wanted to share with you is that because it took time for that school to be built, I don't know why, I was just 3 or 4. To this day, I've never asked why, but I guess they wanted to have children to be schooled sooner. So we started in kindergarten, and also in the primary school, so we didn't have chairs yet. So we would sit on bricks. My dear, we will sit on bricks. My first school experience,
yes,
I was sat on a brick, one of those brown bricks.
And you'd have the book on your laps.
Well, it was kindergarten for 2 years.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I remember the primary, so P1 was for sure, we had the infrastructure there already. But it's amazing because that's what my early childhood memory was and is, and I'm happy with that because when I now look at my former colleagues who are now in leadership positions, we just laugh at those early innocent days. We didn't even know why things were that way.
Yeah, I wonder when you became of age and you could understand your surroundings and circumstances as a refugee, what was your biggest struggle?
Maybe I would answer it this way with the word refugee itself, because as a child you don't know actually what's going on, and I remember vividly the space, I can visualize it now, where I was the first time I heard that phrase or term, refugee, in Kinyarwanda or Kirundi, impuzi. I don't know, I don't remember exactly what words were being said, but we were in a classroom setting in École Libre. I was in the P4 or fourth class, and so clearly we were majority Rwandans, so I'm sure kids were talking about impuzi, refugee, but the taste it left in my mouth was a little bit of a bitter taste. So it was imprinted in me that that word, impuzi, is not a good word. But I didn't understand actually the extent. So yeah, so just wanted to camp, no pun intended, to camp on that word, refugee, just to explain that I heard it for the first time there, but we were not specifically, you know, in a camp or so. But the impact would have been, you know, moving to different countries by choice later on. It was certainly by choice. And it has a positive outcome, I would even say, because when you're not in your country, yes, there are obviously negative ones, but the positive ones would be that you get to be exposed to different words. But the negative impact for me, if I can just share, was that lack of knowing where I belong, the sense of belonging. And according to psychology, and I know you've heard of Abraham Maslow's, you know, hierarchy of needs for human beings. Of course, number one at the bottom is basics. It's food, shelter, security. But then after that, once you have eaten, once you have a place where you have, where you can sleep, and of course we had that, then comes the social needs, the need to belong to a community, to belong to a family, to belong to a nation, to whatever.
Have an identity.
Right, that's it, identity. So I didn't realize that then until probably when later on I went and lived in many parts, many continents, from 1994 onwards, where I lived 20 years, yes, studies, etc., abroad. But later on, I realized that actually there has to be a full circle for me to belong somewhere. And that sense only came to me maybe 20 years after, and that was exactly in 2014, where through my work, I was seconded to work in Johannesburg in South Africa. And I remember that, yes, 94, we left Africa. 2014, I'm a full adult. I am a leader. I am given tasks. I am in Johannesburg. And because I had not lived in countries where I see black people in charge, black people work as a majority, because I had gone to Europe, to the Middle East. So
you always belonged to the minority.
There you go. So the minority, but now here I am, 2014, in South Africa, majority is Africans and black. So I never thought it would be an issue at all, because I've been able to assimilate really well everywhere by the grace of God. But psychologically, not belonging somewhere, that's where I realized that there was a hidden, I wouldn't even call it trauma, but there was a hidden aspect of my life I forgot was actually important. So 2014, which led to why I now am in Rwanda, that's where I thought I need to belong. I literally felt that as a pull, as a need, as an urge to be somewhere I can call home. I can call that I am one of them. I am one of them, they are part of me. And I never thought, for 20 years I've been blessed with amazing careers in great countries.
Different countries.
Right?
Yeah.
But that was hidden
somewhere.
Missing.
Yes,
yes. So that's maybe the main impact of not having a nation you call your own for a long time, because you grow up thinking everything is okay. But there is that maybe the hidden trauma or hidden, whatever we want to call it, missing thing. Because remember I told you about my mom and dad. So I was supposed to have been born in 1976 in our southern district of Ruhango, because that's where my father comes from. So I've always wondered what life would have been like if, you know, I had been born here in Ruhango, right? Anyway, that's one of that.
How did you end up coming back home? So you have this realization and huge discovery. Here I am, much as I am blessed, traveled around the world, interacted with different people, I still don't know who I am. You're in Johannesburg, then that sets the pace and the grounds for you to come back home. How then did you end up back here?
Yeah, I love the word. I'm very big with words. I love the word you just used, discovery, because it's linked to discovery, it's linked to identity, and later on, of course, it's linked to your purpose as to why you are here. So if you have your genesis, as you said, somewhere, I'm sure there's got to be an end at some point. So in 2010, that's where, while I was in Dubai, that's where I started thinking about, why was I created Rwandan, even though I never lived in Rwanda? Why, and I was not even Rwandan by nationality. So why was I created African, Rwandan, yet I had spent almost 20 years abroad, outside of the continent. So that's where the self-discovery journey started for me, with a spiritual awakening in 2010, where I really started working on, why am I here? What am I here to do? What's my purpose? Is life really just about making money, going to work, come back, have holidays, get married, and that's it? So that's what I thought. I started asking myself, why? What is my impact? So of course, when you're an employee, you co-create with your employer and you serve. But I felt that there was something beyond just that for me, and I needed to discover what it was. So I started that journey of discovery, understanding whether my impact is greater or lesser where I was, or if my impact could become a little bit more. So therefore, I took some courses, I trained as a coach, and became certified. I started as a coach while working in Dubai, training, mentoring, coaching already where I was working. And then later on, I realized that actually there was more. There was more for me to have an organization that I can lead, that can take me anywhere. Because traveling is really part of my core values. Because I equate traveling with growth, with exposure. So that's where Karera came to be. Karera was first founded in Dubai, parallelly from the work I was doing, because, you know, I'm sure entrepreneurs will relate to this. I needed to plan for a cushion of at least 2 years. If things go wrong, at least I have that. So I kind of worked towards having a safety while I jumped out of employment into
the comfort that comes with it.
Oh, my dear.
Employment is comfortable.
Very comfortable, but employment is good, but not the best.
Totally, yeah. It makes people sometimes lazy, and
it's a journey. It is a journey, and you said it really well. It's a discovery journey, and also I think people need to have the grace for themselves and do things in your own time. Do things when you are ready. And for me, I felt the timing was then in 2014 to jump. But then I jumped with 2 years of mitigation, just in case things go. That's right. Yes. But it's a journey.
You hadn't lived in the country, then we had the genocide against the Tutsi. Over the last few weeks, I've been talking to different people about that, getting people's personal experiences. You were not around. I wonder, did it affect you differently from how it impacted? Some of those I have talked to lost their family members, direct family, parents, siblings. Others lost distant relatives. There could be others that didn't lose anyone close, but they still felt the impact. And I remember one of them saying, we carry scars. Some could be visible, others invisible. I wonder what the impact was for you. Yeah,
that's an interesting question, a very powerful one, because I think every Rwandan in the country or outside of the country was impacted in one way or another by the genocide. So my experience by no means is anywhere close to that of those who were in the country and that were physically affected by what happened in '94. But to your question about relatives, certainly we had relatives. maybe what I didn't share in my early life is that we used to come to our grandmother and grandfather's village in Ruhango. So I had been to Ruhango in the late 80s. Yeah, in the 80s. I think the last time I had come to Rwanda to visit our grandma, she was still alive. It was maybe 86, that was the last time. And there as well, there is some interesting, you know, flashbacks that I have in my mind of crossing the border from Burundi to Rwanda. We were young, we were probably 6, 10, etc. But I remember spending hours and hours at the border. And we would have a driver who was neither Rwandan or Burundian negotiate for us children to come and be able to visit our grandma, our uncles, aunts, cousins that, you know, had the privilege of being born there.
It wasn't straightforward. You wouldn't just get there, present whatever documents you have, and you're stamped in.
No.
It was a whole process and needed negotiation.
Hours of waiting at the border. I can visualize, I can remember exactly where, you know, I would see the driver who had, you know, another East African background that would go for hours and negotiate at the customs, and they will be in the car, and then later on will be allowed to enter the promised land. So sorry, I'm joking in a way because it's part of our history. So once in the promised land, so we would then drive to Ruhango, spend maybe the summer holidays for a month with our grandma.
And you loved it.
And
you loved those
she
holidays.
had the cows, we had a lot of cows. It's really a positive memory I had there. And the reason why I'm sharing this, it's connected to your question. And the question is, how did it affect you and me? So my grandmother, at that time in '94, she was, I think she was 72 or something like that. She was very tiny, but very strong. She lost her husband, my grandfather, who used to work for the king, our last king. In Nyanza at the court, he was a veterinarian, so he would basically look after our king's cows and milk and approve before the king were the drink.
Milk. Yes.
Right, so you would understand. So we heard all of those stories later that, you know, grandfather Karera, the name comes from my father and his father. So we knew the connection, and of course he, after 59, I think he passed away. He was poisoned. He was poisoned in 1960. So my grandfather stayed behind with many other children, and she had to become basically the head of the household. So when we would visit her in the 80s from abroad, because our father was not, after 59, when he learned in 60 that his dad passed away, he never wanted to come back to Rwanda. So he stayed behind. So yes, we lost very, very close family members. Our cousins, actually, plural, uncles. We heard stories, and I know some of our cousins had, female cousins, unfortunately, experienced some physical
abuse.
Yeah, abuse. Let me use that word. I'm trying to find the words, which is something that has happened to many, either genocide survivors or those that have not survived, where there was that physical abuse to young women. They were young, we were same age at that time, and some of them are no longer here. So in a nutshell, I think whether you were there physically, but emotionally you were there.
Yes.
Because
you can't escape it.
Yeah. In April '94, we were actually just in Burundi, and we went to Europe in June. So we would see people come from Rwanda, we would receive them. So, and they would tell those stories.
Thank you for sharing that, Mary. When we come back, we will be talking trauma, healing, wellness. We'll be going right into that zone where Mireille Karera belongs. Thank you for staying with us. If you have a question, a thought, a suggestion, please use the hashtag #TheRealTalk and let us know what you're thinking. But also, since we are running on air and on YouTube. Kindly share the link so that we have as many people as possible benefiting from this conversation. Thank you. Welcome back to The Real Talk. And as I said earlier, would love to hear from you. Use the hashtag The Real Talk. Mireille and I will be online and we will respond to you. Now, Mireille, I want to tap into the professional side of Mireille. Mm-hmm. I wonder, what impact does being close to or being part of something as traumatizing as the genocide, what impact does that have on somebody's mental well-being? Whether you are directly impacted or indirectly impacted.
Yeah, there is a lot to cover because it's a serious topic. It's a serious topic that many people have dedicated years and years of their lives to not only research but also work towards healing. The areas of trauma. So I know this is an area beyond the coaching. So yes, in life coaching, we talk about levels of satisfaction, understanding the blockages, what can hold you stuck, and the trauma is one of them. The field of psychology that deals with trauma is mainly counseling. So you can be a coach and a counselor at the same time. So there are similar paths but can also diverge as well. So what we do as life coaches, of course, a study about psychology, how your brain functions and what causes your heart, your brain to function in a certain way. So trauma, negative emotions such as fear, which certainly is one of it, is something we must understand, is something we need to understand when someone comes to you and talks to you about the areas of being stuck, so that you help them to unstuck. So the way I will answer it is, I brought my props.
Okay.
Trauma can be something you are aware of or something you're not aware of. Remember, I talked about I wasn't even aware I had an issue with belonging, right? Which is one of the core human needs. So belonging, love, connection. Because I had all of that with my immediate family and of course whatever community we had. But it could be something, they say trauma is a spectrum, right? Like this. It's a spectrum where it could be acute, where you know it's 100% and it can affect your ability to be functional. So you will hear the term functional or not functional. So it's like a ruler. If you can imagine this ruler, I have it at this level, right? So either you are aware of it or you're not. And sometimes that can be or there and you're not aware of it, or it can be acute, it can be dramatic. So you need to take action. Or it can be at 50%, or it can be at 25%, 10%, or you don't even know that you don't know you have a problem. So there are many levels of trauma. I think I needed the audience to be aware of when you talk about that very big T word, it's not someone who is not functional, which is what people tend to think, that, oh, you're traumatized, and it becomes a stigma, it becomes an illness. But then trauma can start where you're not aware of it, and you need to do that discovery to know what is actually stopping me to do this and that. But relating to the Rwandan experience with 94, since you're covering the Kwibuka 30, and my experience, over and above the country healing journey that has gone, the nation has provided with the healing, reconciliation. There's definitely has been some healing at the national level, at the macro level. But then, and that's a good thing, that we went through it as a nation to go through reconciliation, forgiveness, and many other programs that the government had. So I really applaud all of the efforts of people who really created a space for reconciliation, unification. So that was very key in the 90s. And of course, up until now, I don't think we are where we can safely say, we are good. It's continuous. It's an effort we have to all of us work on. Now, that's at the macro level. But at the micro level, at the individual level, of course, there's a lot that needs to be done still. Where in my line of work, as a coach, we are life coaches, business coaches, leadership coaches. So I coach people in different settings, in groups, but also individually, where I sit like we are sitting. And they may be coming to our organization maybe for a specific business issue, for someone's leadership, but then there is an issue connected to that hidden trauma. That issue that is connected, maybe I don't know how, I've not processed the fact that I lost my father in '94 and I saw it. I lost my mother and I saw it, and it has caused me to behave this way, to feel not worthy or not even shine when I need to. I don't, I feel guilty in a way that I'm alive.
Struggling to forgive.
Yes, forgive. Oh, that's a big thing, forgiveness. So I can maybe share about forgiveness in a moment, but specific to post genocide, I think there has been a healing. We need to acknowledge that, and I'm grateful that we are healed as a nation. We are reconciled. So praise God for that. But what I'm alluding to is that there is still that individual work that I believe your audience will need to remember, that it's on you to get well. So the impact is broad. We can go into different directions, whether it's at the professional level or in family, friends level. Yes, it is a good thing that we have Kwibuka, because in a way, as a nation, we are grateful that we have passed that phase. But then at the same time, the word Kwibuka says remembering, that it should never happen again. So that never again is a good thing. So there are so many stories I can tell you, Jackie, about...
Talk about forgiveness.
About forgiveness?
Talk about forgiveness,
Oof. Can I share a story about me?
Please do.
Yeah, and hopefully someone following us will be free and will forgive, because forgiveness is one of the most powerful weapons we have, positive weapons to healing in a positive way. So as in weapons of deliverance for your soul. So I'm speaking from a soul's perspective. Yes, when things such as, geopolitical situations happen, you don't have any control, right? It's by force. It's by force, as we said. But then there is the choice. So healing is by choice. Yes, violence is by force, but healing is by choice. But in our daily lives also, it's a choice for you to forgive. It's a choice for you to forgive, because you are the one benefiting, not the perpetrator. Yes, it's bad enough, it's awful when something happens to you, and you have no control over it. However, for you to be free, for you to be able to thrive as a human being, as a business person, as whatever your category is, you have that choice to make. I remember what I teach, I have gone through it myself, so I'm teaching out of experience. So it's not just a concept and big words we hear there. I remember some time back where someone did something awful, in the sense that I was disappointed, I was hurt, yet I had done good for them. I've been there for them, I've helped them grow in whatever they wanted me to grow. And the thing is, whenever I would hear about that person's name or the thought of that person's name come to mind, I would be triggered. I would be triggered, and I would rehearse some really negative thought about them. And that's very common, whether we're talking about a war situation or relationship, a husband, wife,
siblings.
brother, sister, family, friends. So this is really a general message for everybody because it's the same. So back to my story, because I've gone through also myself some counseling. I've gone through some counseling in the past, and because of that, I got to learn about the power of healing through forgiveness. So one day I realized that enough is enough. This person is living rent-free in my head. This person is living rent-free in my heart. So I need to make sure that that rent is severed, whatever that was. So one day I just picked up the call and went and asked for a meeting, went to see the person, and I just really openly talked to them about what I felt, and also how I forgive, how beyond that, this is going to be a challenge to anyone listening to me. Beyond that really is bless them. You speak a blessing. That's why I said it was a weapon, because it's a spirituality. Beyond, business coaching is spirituality. You overcome evil with good.
Yeah.
Light overcomes darkness by being light. So you overcome evil with good. So whatever that was, whether I was hurt, that person did really wrong, disappointed me, I just went in there because I had done work on myself. This is where, whether you are in a trauma situation or you want to achieve something in your life, you must make a choice that you won't stay where you are. You must go through that discovery journey of finding out, is there any hidden trauma? Is there anything hindering me? So I have done that journey where I realized, okay, there is a tape in my head about this person. So clearly I need to free myself from it.
Yeah,
so went there, met the person, and then we cleared the air. But the result of it, which is I hope is going to be an incentive, is that so many blessings opened up from that.
After that.
Financial blessings, opportunities, because what you don't realize is that you hold yourself back, and you are the one hurting yourself. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm a spiritual person, I'm a woman of faith, so I believe in that. Forgive those who have hurt you, forgive your debtors as you also have debts. So for me, as a Christian, that's something I know it's a must, and it's a lifestyle I want to have. So after going through it, it became easy. I saw benefits in that because yes, I was free, yes, I was healed, and also the other person was freed as well. The other person was freed. I know with the Gacaca court, now back to Rwanda, that was really, in my personal view, I think that's one of the main reasons why Rwanda is shining. Yes, we can talk about innovation. Yes, we can talk about, how far we are. But at the core of it spiritually, because we have done the hardest thing as a nation to reconcile and ask each other forgiveness, which is really hard. It's not easy. But once you have done that, you are free, you are blessed, and look at
the Gacaca courts, that was the foundation.
That, for me, at the macro level, was a big foundation for many things, many blessings for the nation. So the finishing on that for your audience, I think, try to practice forgiveness. Try to do it. It will be difficult. If you're holding unforgiveness, actually you are holding yourself. The other person is also held up in a way. So what I have done from that, oh my goodness, I became like a forgiveness machine. It's easy to say it, but of course, depending on the hurt, though, I should not minimize the hurts. Depending on the hurts, depending on the pain, depending on the level of trauma, remember the tape, whether it's at the 100% level where you are functional or not functional, it is a journey.
It's a journey.
It is a journey, but you need to know you must be on the journey if you wish to move forward in your life. Forgiveness is not an option. Forgiveness is a must. Your blessings are held because of unforgiveness. So release the person and everyone is going to win.
So once somebody starts on that journey of healing, as a coach, what would you recommend as practices for them to maintain in order not to relapse?
Oh, I love that. So you have to start somewhere. So step one is acknowledge that you have a problem. So it goes from that unconscious stage to being aware, to being conscious. So first step, realize that there is a problem, and also make sure that you talk about it. So the first step to healing is acknowledging that you have a problem. You may know it, but you won't acknowledge. You won't tell your best friend, you won't tell your colleague, you won't tell your partner that I have been struggling with this. I have been struggling with, I don't know, unforgiveness, or I made a mistake, I feel guilty, or I'm mad at myself.
I'm struggling with guilt at the moment, but I rarely talk about it. I have this guilt. I lost my mom in 2021, and I am struggling with that so much. But I don't get to talk to people about it. My sister, my brothers, they don't know what I am going through. I've chosen to, I keep saying, dealing with it on my own, but I feel like it's taking longer. Probably after this session, you and I will need to sit and have a one-on-one for my sake.
Your healing journey started today because you've just spoken about it.
Amen.
You've just spoken about it.
Yeah.
So number one is acknowledging that you have that problem. And I congratulate you for being brave and strong to share that big thing, with the audience. And I know now your siblings will know how you feel. So yes, step one, acknowledge there's a problem. Step two, ask for help. Ask for help. Speak to someone. Speak to someone. But choose who you're going to speak to, someone who can help. So yes, you ask for help, but who can help? It has to be someone who's competent, who's qualified. If it has to do with trauma, make sure you speak to a psychologist, someone who's licensed, who is experienced, or a life coach, or a pastor, or a priest, someone really who has that calling and ability to help you. Because not everyone you will talk to will be able to help. In fact, they can take you to that relapse you were talking about. So be intelligent about who to ask for help. And once you've done that, open up, speak. Speak, 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 speak. There is power in speaking. There is power in just sharing. So whatever that was hidden in your subconscious mind comes out as you speak. You don't even know what you are saying, but there is value in just sharing. So that one-on-one conversation you will have will definitely get you to realize even more hindrances and, of course, opportunities available to you. So acknowledge you have a problem, go seek for help, get help, and now the third will be do your part, act, work on it, because it will be a difficult journey, but a good one, necessity. So work on that. Make sure that you create small goals. If the issue is unforgiveness like I had, I made sure that I must go and speak to the person. And later on, I would call everyone, even former, for relationships. I was like, remember, you promised this. You promised this. You proposed.
Yeah.
You didn't do it. I felt like it was okay, but later on, I realized that this was the impact. So I literally went back to the list of people. I write down a list of people. When you think about them, you feel like that. Like you are cringing.
It doesn't matter the degree to which you feel that way. So as you said earlier, don't minimize it.
Don't minimize, because if you're thinking of a person and then you feel, then something is there, okay? Something is there. So maybe start with, before you ask for help, just write down, if it is unforgiveness specifically, write down who they are. Either you go and speak with them, or just acknowledge it within yourself without speaking to them. And you release them. Just say, I don't know, John, I forgive you. Jane, I forgive you. Manzi, I forgive you. They can either be there or not. It's better if you can actually do that, because your soul is going to be free from that. So act on that, and where possible, have someone be accountable, like your accountability partner. When it comes to coaching, when it comes to counseling, you need to have someone that actually can help you become accountable.
It's not a journey to walk alone.
Kavisa, it's not for you alone.
Okay.
It's not meant to be for you alone.
Yeah.
You need a community. You need, yes, experts. You need people who understand, you know, how to give care, whether it's pastoral care or psychological care or self-care with the coach. You know, have someone that will challenge you even and say, Jackie, did you speak to your siblings about how you feel guilty, right? Yes, no, negotiate, and you know, because it will be a back and forth. There will be times where you are up, down, sideways, forward, backward. That's okay. That's your journey. That's okay. You're not supposed to heal the same way as the next person.
Yeah.
Just be yourself in your healing journey. Be who you are. And when you have the right person supporting you, serving you along that journey, it will be a win-win for all.
Wow.
So that accountability. And the next thing is celebrate. Celebrate when you have achieved that.
Wow.
Celebrate, and because you have achieved something that is big. It is, you know, they say healing, actually, let me go with the trauma. Trauma can be mental, it can be physical. The actual definition of the word trauma, according to some of the dictionaries I've consulted, so trauma is an injury. It's a mental injury, it's a physical injury. Yeah. So that means you heal mentally, your mind, your heart, your soul, and also physically. Because if you don't, you can actually have issues such as, you know, cancer. They attribute some of the cancers to unforgiveness, bitterness, resilience, because whatever happens in your body, I'm not a doctor, as a disclaimer, but it does affect you in your internal organs. So it is in your interest to heal, to work on those steps I've just shared. But once you've done that,
so much for that.
Celebrate.
Yeah.
Talk to someone about it. The last one, arguably the last step to recovery, is sharing your story. So tell your testimony, because you not only affirm your healing, but you also affirm others. Because I'm believing that whoever is going to watch this will connect and also share their stories of struggle and also empower others. So that's how you heal, one person at a time, through a systematic approach that, yes, if you can afford to have someone walk that journey with you, by all means seek professional guidance. But also I know that, you know, whether it's at a church or in the communities, there will always be an elder that is there to walk that journey with you. But once you're healed, come back and tell the story.
Testify.
That's right.
Before we look at 6 Qs, as we mark Kwibuka 30, if you're given an opportunity to share a message to the survivors, share a message, the current generation and future generation about forgiveness, resilience, well-being, what message would that be, Mireille?
Wow. So I'm given an opportunity to speak to someone about healing. Because it's Kwibuka, what happened in the past is regrettable, and that's something I do not wish any other generation to experience. And everyone watching us has a part in responsibility ensuring that it doesn't happen. Over and above that, my life's message is to make sure that you discover who you are, your greatness. And your greatness cannot come out if you don't overcome trauma, if you don't overcome whatever barriers or things that are causing you to be stuck. So healing from the past, yes, it's difficult. Yes, it's very painful, but make it a choice. What happened in the past was by force. You didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice to never be a Rwandan as I was born, and I only returned in 2014. Literally, we started Karera only about 10 years ago. So that's what I can say. I lived in the country I was born to be. So by force, life happens. We may not have a choice on that. But if you are alive, you are breathing, you have a choice. You have a choice to make it work for you. And be decisive. Be decisive to discover who you are as the greatest individual that you are. Every human being here is there to add value, to create an impact. But it starts with you knowing that you belong in this earth, you belong, that belonging, you belong in this earth, but you belong as someone who adds value, someone who creates, someone who is there to co-create with the creator. So you can only do that when you discover your gifts, your talents, your purpose. Can I challenge you, all of you watching, to know all of that, what you are the best at, what you are doing better than anybody, because there is something you are here to do that I can't do, that Jackie cannot do, that once you discover that, then you are good. Even when trouble comes, even when geopolitical issues happen, financial challenges, you know for sure you are on point, you know for sure that you cannot fail. That will happen once you determine that you will win. You determine at the end of your life, you will be pleased that you have lived the life that you were born to live.
That's powerful. Thank you. That was a coaching moment right there. We will be right back with 6 Qs as we edge towards the end of the conversation. I am so touched, and I have learned a lot from this time that I've spent with Mireille. And my prayer is that this show has spoken to you and your particular need. There's a reason why you ended up watching the show today, and we do hope that it's worth your while. We're coming to you from Mythos Boutique Hotel in Kiovu. They do have the corporate lunch served every weekday. You should check on them. You will love them. On Twitter, they are Hotel Mythos, at Hotel Mythos. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Let's get Mireille's 6 Qs. Mireille, your favorite hobby, the one that helps you unwind.
Writing, journaling.
Journaling,
Yeah.
Great. Question number 2, what book has had a significant impact on you?
I have 2 books. Dictionary, I know, I read the dictionary, and the Bible, because the Bible has 66 books in it, and it has wisdom. Yeah, it has wisdoms.
Somebody would have picked somebody's autobiography or...
Well, we have 66 autobiographies in there.
Oh, the Bible is it, like the mother of all autobiographies.
In terms of leadership, for me, it helps me. For example, if I whiz through in my head quickly about, the story of Moses. So I get to read about how a leader was imperfect, but was used by God to bring out many people out of exile, refugees, in Egypt, into Israel. So for me, I look at the character, the leadership style, but also I learned that, no one has to be perfect to be effective.
Great.
Yeah, so that is one of the reasons in terms of why it is impactful for me. So
I get it now. Yeah. My next question is, do you have a specific place that you go to seeking inspiration or peace?
A physical place?
Yes, a physical place that you go to. You're looking for peace, you're looking for inspiration. Do you have
it? Kibuye is, Karongi. Nowadays, Karongi is one for me. It's quiet, it's peaceful, it's by the lake. Actually, any by the lake.
Very beautiful as well.
It's amazing.
Yeah. And my 4th question, is there a song or an artist that you'd listen to over and over?
So funny, last week there was a song I was listening to in the car over and over. So I was literally driving my driver nuts last week.
You say, rewind.
No, it was on auto, so of course on the speaker, because I discovered that song. So Israel Mbonyi, he's wonderful.
He's amazing. Yeah.
So I had discovered a song he sang, I think, a year or 2 years ago. I discovered that just a week or
Just
2
the
weeks
other day.
ago. And then every day from work to home, from home to work, I was
You
like,
go looking for that message. Yes, it's a beautiful one.
Brilliant artist.
Yes, I'll have him on the show one of these days. And then, do you have a morning routine that you stick to?
Yeah, I do, and it's important to have a morning routine before you start the day. And as they say, you know, you need to fill your cup before you pour out into others. So your cup has got to be full. So my habit is prayer and meditation in the morning. I can't open my eyes without praying. So I give, you know, honor to my Creator, and then of course seek guidance for the day. And then I meditate. I journal in the morning. I record what I believe is what I've done in the previous day, so it helps me. It helps me to be grounded before I get to solving anyone's problem, and of course dealing with work-related matters. So I would recommend that you find whatever rhythm is for you to have a me time.
Before you start off the day.
Oh, it's important because it keeps you grounded when situations happen when you manage business or you help your clients manage business. For me as a coach, I must be mentally stable before I help anybody else. So my cup has to be full,
Before
and I pour out.
into someone's
If
cup.
it is empty, that means I need to be refreshed. And I know now that when I need to refresh and refill, there is somewhere I need to go and be refreshed.
Lastly, do you have a favorite quote that guides you?
Yes, it's a quote that I have written.
Great.
It's a quote that I have written. It says, whether understood or misunderstood, where you stood, be the one who outstood.
Whether understood or misunderstood, where you stood, be the one who outstood.
So basically it means whether people understand you or people misunderstand you, keep standing, stand. And stand out. So I had some poetic license with the outstood part because it means two things. To stand out as in you shine, but also you outstand, the sense that you stand out, you outstand the issue long enough for you to win. So amazing. I hope it helps.
Thank you for that. As we wrap up, you came over with 2 props and only used the tape measure. What were those for? Right. Are we going to do makeup?
maybe. So the props, I think this one we covered.
That one we covered.
Yeah. So this was
buds, the cotton.
The cotton buds, to display how it is important for you to go through a journey of healing. So imagine these are your emotions, and this is you. This is your brain. This is your mind. This is your physical body. So if you have gone through trauma, that is maybe the size of your trauma, and depending on whether it is a small trauma, right, that's okay, right? So you can function a little bit, but if you don't work on it, I know we'll clean up.
Yeah, we will.
It can get to a point where you're no longer functional, and the use of your body, your mind, and your soul, everything is leaking into every area of your life. So make sure that you remain stable. You make sure that your cup actually needs to be empty in terms of negative emotions, so that you remain dry and ready to function. So that is why I brought it here, to give a visual as to, don't be at the point where it's all leaking in every area of your life. Make a choice to be healed today.
What a pleasure it has been to have this conversation with Mireille Karera. I am out of words. I will leave it up to you. Watch the program, re-watch it as many times as you want. Pick your message. I have no doubt there's something for you, and there could be something for a friend, a family member, sibling. Share with them the link. Let us all get that message that this episode intended for us. My name is Jackie Lumbasi, our guest Mireille Karera of Cora Coaching and Business Academy. It has been such a pleasure to hear from her. Thank you for making time for us, Mireille.
Thank you for having me. It was very good, and I
Thank you so much.
commend you for being brave to share your story. I can't wait to hear the celebration.
We give God the glory.
Amen.
Thank you. We will see you again next week. God bless you.